Save big this holiday season. All in the Kroger app. Buy 2, get 3 free on 12 packs of delicious Coca-Cola, Pepsi, or Canada Dry. Then get flavorful Kroger Spiral Sliced Ham for $1.99 a pound with an additional $25 purchase, limit 2, all with your card. Shop these deals at your local Kroger, less than 5 miles away. Or tap the screen now to download the Kroger app to save big today. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Prices and product availability subject to change. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Kroger Delivery makes it easy to do your holiday shopping in a jingle. There might be a lot on your to-do list, but thanks to Kroger Delivery, you can get everything you need delivered straight to your door at the same great prices you'd find in store. Our refrigerated trucks always ensure that your groceries arrive fresh. And right now, you can save $20 on your first order of $75 or more and get free delivery with a Boost membership. Restrictions apply. See site for details. Kroger, fresh for everyone.
And record. Welcome. This is Edna J. White, and I am so glad that you are here with me today. You are on Wounded to Wonderful and Keeping It Real, your destination to have real life talk about real life things in real time with real people. We provide you with practical, evidence-based tips and tricks to build the resilience, well-being, and unlocking highest performance to an empowered life. I'm your host, and we want to welcome you to today's topic, the journey through loss and grief. Now, today's guest, Maria Andrade, is going to keep you engaged and inspired. Welcome, Maria.
Hello, Edna. Hello, everyone. And I'm excited to be here. This is a very, very important topic, and it's not often discussed, especially out of your personal circle, right?
Right.
So.
Okay, can you tell us a little bit about what you do? Just, tell us some good stuff. I know you guys have something great going on, so I just want to hear about it. The audience wants to hear about it, so just tell us. Just give us some insight into you.
Thank you. So I identify myself as a woman of color. I'm a first-generation immigrant.
Okay.
I'm a mom. I'm a social justice fighter.
Right.
And I dedicate myself completely to, social justice, minority issues, equality, criminal justice reform, education, and advocacy for marginalized communities. I do partake in certain organizations that actually have some of the same vision that I do.
Okay.
So a lot of my projects happened through that aspect. I'm lucky enough to be granted the opportunity to be at a table where I really care about a lot of the issues that are very dear to me, and I'm able to address them. That's the important part.
Great. And I know how important it is to live out your community life and your advocacy, because I do the same thing. And it makes for a well-balanced person. It balances out mom and wife and all of those things. It balances out, and it gives you an opportunity to share your part of your life and give back. So it's wonderful. That is really wonderful. So today's topic, we're going to talk about loss and grief. And we know that we all probably have, through this pandemic, gone through some loss and some grief. We've gone through death, and we also have gone through loss of, friendships. We've gone through loss of jobs. We've gone through a lot of loss of, just things in our lives. So we want to talk about that pain and kind of work through how it affects our lives in various points and various ways. So Maria, can you just let's talk about how, in general, if you can give us some experience of how loss has affected your life or a client's life.
Absolutely. So one of the things that how we operate, that we seldom talk about, is how we work through our pain, right?
Yeah.
We have the face of, we've got to get things done. Us warriors with so many hats on, we get the job done. We get it done.
Mm-hmm.
But the mental toll that takes on our body
Right.
And I was actually doing some research where you were thinking that's not a loss. That's not really pain. I'm just exhausted.
Right.
Because you're absorbing all of these microaggressions on a daily
That is
basis
correct.
that you have no real outlet unless, you actually practice like meditation and so forth. But I will tell you from my point of view, I love meditation, but sometimes I even forget to do that.
Right.
Because there's deadlines, there's things that you have to do, and then you don't have sometimes the outlet to do so. So
Right.
instead, we are just conditioned to work through. We work through pain day to day. We work through loss. We work through grief. And I was doing some research, and I found out that I'll get the number, I'll get the name of the theory, but the theory discusses that the same pain that you suffer when you're losing someone, and you're only thinking, oh my God, you only lose someone when you lose them to death. That's the only grieving part that you have as a body. And no, it's not. And there's so many other losses. If you lose a job, if you lose an opportunity, if you're betrayed by a close one, if you're betrayed by a family member, if you're betrayed and, looked over, and how you feel that, right? We don't acknowledge those little feelings, those little hard, and we just brush them off and continue on to the next thing, and we just pile up so much pain within us, and then that becomes stress balls.
Right.
And then our body just continues to adapt to a point where our body says, no more, and then sickness comes, and all these things because your body's just used to processing in and out.
Right. It's correct. So what I'm hearing you saying is that loss sets an emotion into an emotion of all kinds of lesser losses. So like you said, loss of what we know as loss in a life, we're shattered by that. And then we have a loss of, a job or a loss of connection. We lose, there's little things in between the loss of, like say for death, we lose like the connection of that person. We lose, we lose, just them being there. We lose that part. We lose the part that, okay, now how do I feel that? We lose all, there's so many losses in life in general that we don't believe that it's life altering. And you said something that triggered my thought. I see a lot of things that, that people print, and they talk about, I'm built for this, I'm built for that. You hear that all the time. And I'm like, you got to be careful what you're built for, because are you really built for pain? Because, I don't think, God kind of intended us to be built for pain. I think he intended us to understand the effects of loss, and then various points and ways kind of direct the focus on trying to change that trauma. So I'm honored that you said, what you said. It's, the effects of painful, and we need to actually, let's talk about dealing with the pain. We go through it, like you said, but then we don't acknowledge it and we don't express it. We're told not to acknowledge. So let's talk about acknowledging that. Let's talk about that, Maria. Acknowledging.
So, I'll give you my experience where I thought that it was actually normal. I came into a point in my life where, I had the dreams. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to do this and fifth. But I made other choices, and then I ended up, of course, being with my family and raising 2 kids, having the husband, having everything that, that you think you want.
Right.
I was 18.
I love that. Tweetable, think you want what you think you want. That's a tweetable right there.
But, then it comes, of course, your culture. We often don't talk about how much our culture has to do with our expectations and what we are taught to approve. We are taught to embrace. We are taught not to ask questions. We are taught not to ask for help.
Absolutely.
And that took a long time for me to get out of, a an abusive relationship where I was not happy, and this is the first time that I've ever spoken about this,
Right.
and that's why I chose that topic, because I figured, I'm like, it's okay to talk about it now. Before, every time I would discuss this with my dear friends, I would not be able to finish a sentence.
Right.
The pain would just come through. But for me to be able to talk
That's great.
and think, that's growth. And
Yeah,
it took
exactly.
it took a long time to do so.
And it took a lot of work from you. You had to work
Absolutely.
through it. You had to work through it. That's good.
You have to work kind of like backwards in your subconscious,
Yes.
right? Because you're like, everything that you know,
It's
you cannot get
backwards.
prepared to what, life just throws at you.
Absolutely.
Life throws at you, someone beating on you, someone, disrespecting you, someone cheating on you, and then you're like,
Absolutely.
we are taught that this is okay. We are taught that we don't ask questions. We are taught not to question,
Yep.
especially the male counterpart of our partners,
Mm-hmm.
right? But then then education is power.
Right.
So I didn't even know this when I left the father of my kids. I didn't know that I was broken. I just knew I wasn't happy.
Yeah.
Then then I went back to school and reinvented myself. And upon educating myself, that's when I found how broken I was.
Mm-hmm.
And I needed to make a decision on stating, I'm broken. Okay, Maria, you're broken.
Right.
How do you fix you, Maria?
Yeah.
And what is going to take to fix you,
Right,
Maria?
right.
And who cares enough to fix you?
Right.
And the only person that cares enough to fix you, it's most likely going to be yourself.
Yep.
Nobody else.
Absolutely.
However,
Nobody.
you can ask for some help.
Right.
And there is help in hands, but we don't ask for help.
Nope.
Even when we can see all of these posters about X, Y, and Z,
Right.
about really sensitive issues that many of us have gone through, and we don't open up because we don't want that attention brought upon us.
Right.
And then those of us that are mothers, no, we don't want that attention for our children.
Right.
Because the connotation
Yep.
that attention brings to your child in school.
Exactly.
Just for one adult to hear that,
It's over.
inevitably they're
It's
going to look
over.
at it from a different view, whether you want
It's
to or not.
true.
Human,
It's true.
It's
It's
human,
true.
right?
It's true.
So
it's
when
true.
I learned how to operate, when my psychology professor told me, I wrote my briefing on, what things that impacted my life.
Mm-hmm.
And I wrote that, and then they approached me and said, well, this is like a crisis calling. And I'm like, I didn't think so. And they're like, he said, Miss Andrade, you've been working through pain all your life.
Exactly.
And I'm like, I have? Right?
Yeah, that's something that I'm used to. What are you talking about?
And this is normal, isn't
Right.
it? Normal.
Exactly.
Because it's the mindset.
It
so
is.
Whether you have a good or bad day in work, the second you go through that door, you best put your best face on.
Right.
You best put whatever you need to do whatever you need to do, so your kids don't see that.
Right.
Because at least you don't want your kids to see the
Right.
trauma that you're enduring.
Right.
And then sometimes we also fail because we're also humans. So we also fail at that. And we can't hold it, and we're mad at the world, and
Yeah.
we're mad at home. We're not mad at home. But then we run through that door and it's like, what is your problem?
Right, exactly. It spills out on everybody. It just spills out, yeah.
So it's operating from pain.
Right.
Wow. And when I saw that, and then of course doing the research on how your body is responding
Oh,
to
yeah.
trauma, and you don't realize it. Those headaches,
Total
those
dis-ease. Migraine. Total dis-ease against everything.
Absolutely. When you feel uneasy, when you feel
Yep.
X, Y, and Z, and you're like, oh no, it's just menstrual cramps, or it's just,
Nope.
I'm just having a bad day.
Nope.
No, that's your body telling you, like, you need to slow down. This is a lot of trauma for
It
you.
is. It is.
And it doesn't have to be physical violence.
Nope. It doesn't.
Because to an extent, even physical violence, you see it, you feel it, and then it goes away.
Right.
But when it's
Or you say it goes away, or you say it goes
away, but you stay it in your mind.
Yep.
But when it comes to emotional baggage, emotional trauma, it takes years to be
so
okay. Because sometimes you don't even want to think about that.
Right.
You don't even think of it because
it's built into the fabric of your being. It's kind of sewn into your soul. Like, so, the loss, the trauma is so, especially emotional things are sewn into your soul, which is your whole being. And you're like, oh, I'm late because that's just me. You're late because there's something else brewing behind the lateness. There's a pain behind the lateness. Oh, I talk like this because this is just me. No, there's a reason why you talk like that. And back there from something emotional that happened to you earlier, you're doing that. A lot of it, and you're bringing out great points, a lot of it is fighting. You're just constantly, everything's fighting. And as we get older, and I know I'm probably older than you, maybe. You're probably older than you. And, no, I think I'm a little older. But when I was younger, I used to put on these faces for my kids and be real strong, and losses of jobs, losses of relationships, losses of conditions. We condition ourselves to be in a place, and then we don't meet that place. There's a loss. So no one really picks that up. Like, okay, I said in 2 years I was gonna be off Section 8, and I'm not. That's a total whole loss right there. It's like, oh my gosh. So I said this to my children. Here I am. So now I have to acknowledge that, and by acknowledging it's not enough. You have to do, like you said, you have to wade through the pain. You have to start saying, okay, with each stroke, okay, I can't do that anymore. I can't put the face on. And I got to tell my kid, I got to be honest with my kids, because I don't want to pass this crap that I was taught to them. This crap of being fake. And I think you sound just like me. My church told me I had to stay with my abuser. And I'm like, what? You mean to tell me God wants me to suffer? Like, I couldn't wrap my head around that I'm supposed to suffer like that. Like, I'm supposed to be brutally hurt. So when I learned better, I did better. And I think acknowledging your pain and do better is the key. When you know better, you do better. Now we get to the part where we're at the loss, and now we want to be able to reprogram or change that expression of pain into something that is knowledgeable. How do we start converting that? How do we start changing that even in small increments? How do we start doing that? Maria, is there anything that you could say that we can start converting that, that attempt to honor our feelings and where we are in life?
So I was never so much a religion person.
Yeah.
And then I started going to church, right? My father is an atheist, so he doesn't really believe in that.
Mm-hmm,
my mom is Catholic.
Right.
So I grew with some sense of, religion. I knew that you never do wrong. And, but you couldn't ask for help. You just can't. You're looked at.
No.
And it's understand being okay with being different.
Mm-hmm.
Learn to look in the mirror and say, I messed up.
Right.
I messed up. Okay. How do I fix this?
Mm-hmm.
A mistake does not define you. We are taught that mistakes define us.
Right.
Mistakes
right.
Identified us.
Yes, we were taught that.
Tags us. that we are never going to be looked any other way but how we behave in a manner.
Right.
Oh, God forbid you misbehave. God forbid you do something
Whew.
wrong.
Yeah, right.
Forget it. You are the worst.
You're on the other side of hell or whatever it is that we're on that side. And we don't even know what the side was. We're on that side. Yeah, you're right. It's so
and you
right.
don't learn that it's not a big deal until you heal.
Yes,
So
exactly. It's not a big deal. Exactly.
Because when you're in the beginning and you're like, this is never going to get better.
Yeah.
I would have never thought that I would be in the place that I am right now.
Yeah.
I mean, when I split with the kid's father, I had nowhere to go.
Right.
I had to go to mom's house.
Right.
And
Yeah.
deal with everything that you can
Hands
think
up.
of.
Yes, hands up. That's right.
2-3 jobs just to make sure that, that I wasn't homeless.
Right.
Because if I didn't have those 3 jobs, then where would my kids go?
Right.
How am I going to afford X, Y, and Z?
Right.
And then you're taught to, okay, you struggle on your own. You keep struggling and you say nothing. You don't tell anyone.
Right. But struggling is supposed to be good for us. Struggle is good.
It's to make us grow.
Yeah.
And we can't ask for help because
don't do that.
You know the whole drama.
We're strong enough. We're strong.
How dare you ask for help?
Oh.
You asked for this upon yourself.
Absolutely. You know it.
And it's, for me, I started healing again when I started going to church. I started listening. I started reading the Bible. And then I started doing some worksheets. I used to Google and I said, okay, healing practices. Just,
Start doing it for yourself. You started gaining a relationship yourself. That's it.
I ended up being my own therapist.
Oh, I'm so glad you said that.
This is it.
I'm so glad you said that. I am so glad.
Hey, you can't afford a therapist. Therapists are $400 an hour. I can't do that. But, I started watching some videos. I mean, YouTube has amazing
absolutely.
And then I also came across your story a couple of years back. And
really?
Now that I'm putting two and two together, I'm like, I remember reading about this. I saw your interview last week or so, and you mentioned some stuff, and I'm like, I remember reading about this, right? Because all you're just glancing, and it just gives you stories and stories and stories.
Right.
But you're just reading. You're like, okay, if it applies to me, great. If it doesn't, then good.
Right.
And it's so amazing to finally get to say, wow, I'm meeting the person that I was looking at.
I didn't even know you knew. I honestly didn't.
When we read the broken stories, we heal. Just by reading the broken stories, we heal, because sometimes we don't even like to read out loud.
Right.
But as we're reading the stories, or we're listening, our minds are like,
that's right. Yeah.
And your gut and your sixth sense kind of just goes through okay, it makes sense. But when a message is not for you,
right,
there's something in your body that just rejects it.
Of course. And it's supposed to be that way. It's supposed to be that way.
And I am not a psychology major whatsoever, but I figured that.
It's supposed to be that way. We were made like that. Intuitively, we are spirit beings. So we are made, if something doesn't sound right, and I've always been like this, I'm like, that doesn't sound right. And my mother used to always your mouth is going to be the death of you. And I was like, I hope so, because I don't want to be like everybody else. And I thank God it wasn't. But to have that intuition, and I like how you said, you went to church, but you start doing some kind of research yourself. You formed a relationship and an idea on your own, which was amazing. People don't get to that. I spent 27 years in a church without a voice. I served without a voice. You can't serve without a voice. It's like telling someone to go to the army and not shoot their gun. That's what it's like. You cannot serve someone without a voice. So if you don't have a voice, you can't serve. Loss makes you not have a voice. It makes you, like you said, put on this face that it's great and it's really not great. It's, you're pretending all the way through. So imagine going through life, let's say 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, 10 years, and you're going through life, and then all of a sudden you're like, I was faking way back then. And because of loss, something that you lost. I was talking to a new client of mine, and he lost his job 2 years ago, and then he tried he tried other jobs, but he was in his 50s, and he says, I don't know what to do. I'm trying to put all of this together, and I don't know what to do. I'm at a loss. And I said, start grieving now. And he said, what? He gave me this, like, what? I was like,
Process.
It's a loss. I said,
That's
that's a major loss. You're 50, and all the experience you had all of a sudden came to a sharp stop. It's a loss. So you have to grieve. You have to go through the process. And he said, I never thought of that. That's what's happening to me now. I said, exactly what's happening to you. So loss creates this whole grief. You're not happy. Grief displays itself as not being happy. You could be in a great party and nothing, and your family's there, everybody's there, it's complete, and you're just like,
and you're not there.
Yep.
I mean, you're physically there.
You're physically
present.
You're not present. That's what grief does. Grief actually voids you out of your own body. So grief from years ago can have you with dis-ease. And I talk about this in a book that I've written several years ago called The Keys to the Kingdom, and how all that uneasiness inside of you makes you very uneasy. And I talk about migraines. It's my going against the grains of something that I believe, I feel that's right. I'm going to go against it. And I'm just going to do what I want. And then I end up, oh God, I don't know what this is. And to your whole heart that it's wrong. You feel intuition-wise that it's wrong, and you go against it. Grief creates all of these scenarios in your life. It just keeps, it goes internal, then it's external, starts touching, things start happening. So now we're at the area where we want to talk about grief and how it shows itself.
And my thing was when I started doing a vision board.
Oh, okay.
So it's like thinking with the end in mind.
Yeah.
Right. And with the end in mind.
Right.
Back in college, right? I went back to college, and the professor was like, "Okay, we're gonna, think with the end in mind." Mm-hmm. What does that mean, all right? He said,
"What does that mean?
What you want in life?"
Yeah.
The house. I'm like, the house again. Conditioned. The house, the husband, the kid. Right. I already have my kids, and I just left the relationship, and I'm like, but I wasn't happy in there. So what do I need to do? So she spoke and said, you got to break them down. You got to break those goals.
Right.
Like, what do you want? What do you want to be known for?
Right.
And start writing. How do you want, people to remember you?
Right.
Do you want them to remember you as just a mom? Then embrace that. But
right.
If that's not you, ask yourself, what do you want?
Right.
What do you want? And how are you going to get there?
Right.
And hold yourself accountable.
Right.
Sometimes even going back to and then to relationships. Oh God, some of us that fall in love.
All of us that fall in love. Say that. It's true. All of us that fall in love.
And once we fall in love, some of us just lose the sense of ourselves, and we become
Could you say that again, please? Because I'm always saying that. You lose yourself. # lose yourself in love. No. Don't do it.
It's not healthy love.
It's
If you think about it, all your toxic relationships, like if it didn't work out, if you put like a label on them,
You are right.
toxic, like it's just not for you, and that's why it didn't work out for X, Y, and Z reason. Because your spirit was there, you know. You getting out of character should not be that hard.
No.
And I'm a firm believer. I always thought that, oh no, these are problems, and no, they're not. So right now I'm in a
Nope.
complete different phase where, you know what, I already grieved. I already paid. I was the miserable wife. I was the wife that being home, doing the right thing,
Absolutely.
cooking, cleaning,
Absolutely.
and still get cheated on and still get beaten on.
Thank you.
So don't come and tell me that this is my fault. Don't come and tell
Nope.
me nothing.
Nope.
No, he wasn't man enough for me,
Right.
and that's okay.
Right.
And then the next part is saying that person was not for me, and that's okay.
Right. That's okay. That's okay.
And that's okay. So you move on because you're gonna find a person that's for you,
Right.
that's with you, for you,
Right.
to grow with you.
Right. And you know what I
Find that
found
person.
too?
It's gonna take some time.
It is going to take time, but let me tell you, what I found is through my failed marriages. What I found is what I was lacking, I allowed.
I saw something like that.
That's
I saw
scary to
something
me.
like
It
that.
scared me. It's
Your psychology, your own brain kind of brings out
yes, what you're
that-
missing, and it brings it out, and then it materializes, and
and you attracted to it.
you're attracted to because you're missing it. So you're always focused on what I'm missing instead of what I should be doing.
Or
I'm
in
missing
which I
this. I'm missing this. I need to focus on what I have, but I don't. I'm missing. I'm always thinking about what I'm missing. And guess what? It comes right into your life. It comes full force. Every relationship, every guy that I dated, I was like, oh, I felt it. I felt it. I was in trauma. I was like, oh, and then I had to stop and take time for myself, because loss means taking time for yourself.
And
When
we
we don't do that. We move on, and we don't take time for ourselves. And what ends up happening, again, dis-ease. We get emotional. We start acting out and spilling on top of everybody else.
Everything just spills out through.
Everywhere,
Everything else in
sister.
your life. Yes. Preach on.
Everywhere, sister. And we can act like, I own my own business for many, many years. This is the first time in my 50s that I've actually worked for somebody. So just so you know, it's a transition. And whenever I am at the office, or when I was going to the office, they could tell something was wrong. Now, normally when I'm on my own, I take time out, But I have to be at the office. Okay, what's going on, Edna? What's going on? Because you're not normally like this. Your aura immediately, it's like it's there, and it can't help but spill on people, because you're normally like this, and then all of a sudden you're like this. So people feel that. Loss is not only you. Loss is everybody else that's connected to you. It's everybody else that's connected to you. So, and so loss in all this process, when we're doing all this, we got to remember that we're connected to people, and if we're at loss, and we don't have to fake that. We really don't. We need to feel it, and we need to embrace it, but we don't need to stay there. Because the longer we stay there, see, the problem with us staying there a lot of times is that we get there and we start feeling sorry for ourselves. So those two different things that's going on. When we have loss, we grieve that we're not going to see them again, or we're not going to be there again, or we're not going to do that again. We grieve that part. But then we start feeling sorry. We start having a pity party, and ego gets involved. ego wants everybody to come and help us. You know, we're laying on the on the ground suffering. You know, and we want people to stroke us. Ego gets us into the part where we go into do depression, and we forget, or we get so absorbed in it. We're like, how did we get here? Because we want everybody, stroke us and stroke us and stroke us. And loss and grieving has to do with, not with the ego, it has to do with knowing where we are in our emotions and dealing with that there. Not going down the street, not going, okay, the next man or the next woman or the next people or more children, not going down there, but being right in that little area.
Yes.
Right? Don't you think?
We're on. Because then you know what that triggers? That triggers your self-pity party, your ego.
Absolutely.
It brings on the damage control syndrome that I call it, where you're always start, well, not always, but you start training your mindset to always be on control.
Right.
I can't do this again because this has already happened to me, without realizing that you're traumatized, right?
Right.
And one thing that I learned is when I look at pictures of myself from years. I'm a person that takes a lot of pictures.
Me too.
And I'm looking. I have Instagram accounts, and every 2 years I kind of like just deactivated that one.
Right.
And I opened up.
Okay, got you.
That's my new face. I mean, new face. This was when I was with the kids all
Right.
You know what? This is not who I am anymore.
Right, we're going to change that.
I'm going to invent a new one. And then when I was in Essex County College, that's part of me. That's a part of me. That's a big part of me. Mm-hmm. But then when I became involved in even more things, when I went into NJCU and started being involved with my fellowships, with politics and so forth.
Right.
That's a whole different me.
Right.
And then now it's my professional field where I got my degree, I got my career going, I got all these titles. This is the new me. But I often go back to the pictures.
Yep.
And if pictures can say words, if pictures can tell stories,
and they do.
All there. And I'm looking, and often I find myself looking on the memories thing. I'm like, 3 years ago. Let me look at how many pictures. Let me look at the pictures from 3 years ago at this date.
Yeah.
What was I doing?
Right.
5 years ago.
Right.
6 years ago.
Right.
And I look at the pictures, and I'm able to look from the outside and say, I was so broken, and I didn't know it. I mean, it was there.
Resolution.
The new me
Resolution.
sees the old me, how broken it was.
Right.
And then you know what? And then we start thinking, I have to apologize for my behavior, for my broken
Resolution,
behavior.
yes.
No.
Yes.
You owe no one
Yeah.
apologies on how you chose how to fix yourself.
Right.
Because that's what you knew at that time.
Right.
You were fixing yourself.
Right.
But you didn't know that you were fixing yourself.
Right.
You were coping.
Right.
You were processing grief without knowing that you had a loss.
Exactly.
And the world is very judgmental. And it breaks us really bad. But most importantly, because we allow it. We are taught that the opinion of others have so much weight
on what
on
we
our
do.
Mind, on our everyday, even the way we carry ourselves.
Right.
Even if someone calls us fat. How are you? Oh yeah, you've been eating more? So, what if I want to set my face over my feelings? Did you ever think that maybe it's not about eating?
Right.
But we mask it like, oh no, she's eating more, she's gaining weight, oh no, she doesn't care for herself. Maybe she's doing something, but nobody asks those questions, but everybody's quick to judge. Or if you're losing weight, maybe you're not eating because you're too occupied with everything that's going on that you forget to eat. And then what about when you start breaking out and your face just gets these awesome, beautiful bumps? You're like, what is this? And that's stress manifesting. That is stress manifesting through your body.
It is. It really is. It really is. Thank you, Maria. We've offered a whole lot of things in this healing journey through loss. Your loss may be traumatic and life-altering, and you might be feeling loss in small and small comparisons and big comparisons, but yet you're feeling, and your feelings are real, and they should be honored. The journey of loss is very emotional, and we have to learn to go through it, and it's not all going to be correct. And like Maria said, sometimes it takes even photography and finding the ways to express ourselves through these feelings. But yet, we need to express, and we need to resolve or come to a resolution no matter where we are, because we are accomplished beings, and we are beings, which means ongoing, not just at one point. We are beings, human beings, on and on and on. So we have to learn to explore this grief journey with gratitude. Even though we're going through the trauma of healing, there's a trail. There's a trail. And we have to go through it in our spiritual being and not in our humanistic or egoistic process. I hope that you find hope in what Maria has said. I'm definitely having her back. I want you to know that, guys, because we can mix it up. I love her already. I will tell you, I love her already. And we'll have her back on another subject. But for right now, Maria, how can we find you? Where are you on Instagram, on social media, where are you? Let's find you.
I'm on social media.
Okay.
Maria J. Andrade.
Okay.
And my LinkedIn, same name. My Instagram, same name. I love my name. I embrace my name.
I love my name too. I literally, in my 40s, started loving my name. I honestly love it. Love it.
It's like, who are you? Well, my name is Maria. Like, that's it. That's it. My name is Maria J. Andrade.
Yeah.
That's it.
All right.
Get to know me. Yeah. My story is different.
But yet the same.
My story is mine.
Yes. Your story is yours. And that's what makes us all unique and original. And if we live in that story, we live another generation. This is Edna White and Maria Andrade saying,
yes.
See you next time.
See you next time.
At Kroger, an annual Boost membership just got even better. Now you can choose from Disney Plus with ads, Hulu with ads, or ESPN Plus on us when you sign up. Plus, enjoy unlimited free delivery, double fuel points, exclusive offers, and free items. Sign up for a Boost membership today. It's an easier way to save, including new streaming options to relax with while we deliver your groceries. Kroger, fresh for everyone. Restrictions apply. See site for details.
Need parts now? O'ReillyAuto.com offers in-store pickup, same-day home delivery, or next-day home shipping. Get more parts your way at O'Reilly Auto Parts.
O'Reilly Auto Parts.